Rahim. I welcome you all. I welcome all our listeners, all the audience. Thank you very much for showing up to this session. This session is yet another session in the continuation of our executive learning series, which we started a long time back by the title of "Learn from the Experts." This time we have yet another expert to talk to us on this current pandemic, how that particular person's own sector is revolving around. So we have with us Mr. Saad Tawwab Rao. Just a brief background before I give the stage to him. Saad Tawwab is a very learned professional, a person with an excellent experience. He's a LUMS graduate. His bachelor's and MBA is from LUMS. His corporate journey is amazing. He's worked at Procter and Gamble as a brand manager, and now currently he's heading the strategy and planning of the Coca-Cola company for Pakistan and Afghanistan region. So thank you, Saad, for joining us.
Thank you very much.
It's really a pleasure having you here. And it's actually a really honor for all of our listeners, for all the MAJU students, its alumni, and all our other listeners to have you with us, to have a person of your caliber with us, and to give us time and to speak to us on various aspects related to this pandemic.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. अच्छा साथ, coming to the topic, because देखें FMCG sector बड़ा ही important sector है as far as Pakistan's market is concerned. We have some very big names. We have Unilever, we have Procter and Gamble, we have Coca-Cola, we have Pepsi. So there are many big players involved. So naturally, all the students, they are really connected to the FMCG sector. हर कोई चाहता है इसमें अपना career बनाए, हर कोई चाहता है इसके अंदर excel करे. So many people are interested to learn that how the sector is revolving. अब देखिए पेंडेमिक सिचुएशन है, हम सभी अक्सर लोग वी आर अफेक्टेड बाय, एंड इट्स एन अनप्रेसिडेंटेड सिनेरियो. यानी कि ऐसा पहले कभी किसी ने एटलीस्ट मैंने अपनी जिंदगी में तो कभी ऐसा सिनेरियो नहीं देखा. सो इट्स अ वेरी अनयूजुअल सिनेरियो. उसके अंदर द फर्स्ट थिंग वी वुड लाइक टू आस्क यू और डिस्कस विद यू इज कि अब there's something which is people calling a new normal, like the normal behavior of the customer is shifting. तो Coca-Cola के अंदर, a big brand like Coca-Cola, आप लोगों ने कैसे देखा है? Has your customer changed? Has your customer shifted to something else? What are the dynamics of your industry or your customer that has changed due to this pandemic?
I think it's a very good and a very pertinent question given the current situation or the current market dynamics. So everybody is trying to understand how things are changing, how things are going to be evolving, what are the different, what are the different imperatives and the strategies that the different companies should be following. So you're absolutely right that this is something which is extremely unprecedented. I think the last time something similar to this happened was in 1920s when, or maybe a bit before that, when there was this Spanish flu pandemic, which went across the European countries. Even if you look at it from an economic standpoint, when people talk about the downturn in the economy or the recession in the economy, they say that this is something which is the biggest downturn in the economy since maybe the Second World War. So again, maybe something which has not happened in the last 80, 90 years or so. So definitely, and like a very unprecedented event in our lifetimes, and that's going to leave an impact on the consumers, on the markets, on the economies. So I think the first thing that has happened is from a consumer angle. I think consumers are also learning. So like we are learning about what's going to happen, how long it's going to be there for. Consumers are also learning. So especially in Pakistan, if you look at it, the first kind of response from the consumers was that maybe this is going to pass away, maybe we will be not impacted by it, maybe this is something that is going to impact the Western economies more, maybe this is something that is more for the developed economies. But unfortunately, the fact of the matter is it's here, and we've lost a lot of people. I'm sure everybody has lost people that they know now. So it has impacted the consumer from a personal angle. When you talk specifically about the FMCG sector, of course, we are talking about it from an economic standpoint. So I think the number one impact that the consumers have had is, a lot of the people have gone into this kind of economic uncertainty that, whether 3 months down the line, 2 months down the lane, am I going to be having my job or not?
Right.
What are the finances? हमने एक estimates आए थे, government के estimates आए थे कि something like 20 million daily wage workers, 25 million daily wage workers, they lost their jobs. So that has an impact on the overall consumption, because all of the FMCG sector is a consumption-based sector, right?
Right.
So if the consumption goes down, so it impacts everybody. So I think barring a few FMCG companies which are reliant on things like maybe detergents, even my old company detergents, soaps and stuff. I think those companies, sanitizers. I think those companies have flourished in this
Right.
pandemic, because even in war, as they say, but this is not a war, but even in calamity, there is an opportunity for somebody. So I
Right.
think that has come across, but for the bulk of the sector, I think it has suffered from the downturn in the consumption. And I think if I talk specifically about our sector, that has suffered more because of a bit more because of the fact that bulk of our, not bulk, but a significant portion of our consumption happens outside the home. When
Right.
you're
Right.
going out, you're eating out, you're hanging out with the friends. बहुत सारे गली मोहल्लों में the boys, they will stand outside, they will have they will discuss the day, how the day went, and then they will have a Coke, Pepsi, and or maybe some other drink. So within that, what happens that once you have the lockdown situation, the restaurants are already closed, people are not venturing outside. So I think that has had a downturn, or that has impacted negatively the sales of our brand. The brands are pretty, I think, especially our Coca-Cola, the brands are pretty strong. So, we're withstanding the whole of the situation. But once it becomes a sectoral issue, then it impacts everybody. So
It
I think
impacts everyone.
overall the consumption, if I sum it up, starting from the economy, the uncertainty, and then just the impact of the lockdown, I think that has led down to on the consumption.
Thank you. That's actually a very good insight. अब मैं भी यही सोच रहा हूँ कि it's actually true that we don't bring Pepsi or Coke daily in our house. वो तो कभी आ जाती है कभी. But when we go and meet our friends daily, कहीं भी बैठ गए तो we have a drink almost daily or every second. So that's a very good insight. अब ये तो lockdown की situation की वजह से it's closed. So yes, that's a very good point, a very good insight. The second question is actually personally related to your company. Soft drink की companies की बात कर रहा हूँ क्योंकि देखें इस COVID-19 का the primary solution that is coming out और आजकल हर जगह चला है that is to boost your immunity, to focus on your health. अब soft drinks and health, I think they do not go together very well. Soft drink and health. Is this affecting कि भाई हम soft drinks नहीं पिए, हम health पे focus करें, natural drinks, more water, juices? So is this affecting because people are now more health conscious now?
I think as per our understanding, our analysis, because what we are doing is that we're also trying to keep a pulse check on the consumer. What is the consumer thinking? Again, there's a marketing professor, one of the foremost marketing professors in the world, is by the name of Mark Ritson. He quotes that he says that a lot of times we feel that the marketeers are the market. Unfortunately, that's not the case. The consumer is different. We are maybe a very, very small and maybe at times a very insignificant part of the consumers. So I think of the consumers. So again, these things have gone around. Some of them have gone around on WhatsApp and other things. But what we see is that there has been no big foreseeable change in the consumer behavior. Whatever impact that we have seen in terms of the dropping of the sales, that has come primarily behind the lockdown effect. And again, when you talk about CSD or sparkling or the soft drinks and the impact or related to the health bit, I think it's what we say is that the sparkling drinks, they provide refreshment and everything in moderation. It works out well for you. So I think overall, we don't see a massive kind of an impact on the business because of this. We didn't see any kind of impact because of this. What we saw was that the impact that is coming from people not going out, people not hanging out, and people generally when the hours of purchase or retail are also curtailed. So for a significant period of time, ab thoda sa बढ़ गया है, but बीच में, at times it was, you can go to the retail in the morning or from 9 to 5 or 9 to 4 or weekends closed. So uska bhi बहुत impact आता है. So I think the downturn that we're seeing in the sector or overall FMCG, I think has got more to do with, has got more to do with the with the retail. It's maybe again there was a very nice discussion that was there that uh, at times I try to take what we call a contrarian view to the whole thing. So again, we marketeers, I primarily call or think of myself as a marketer. I've been in a marketing companies for the last 15 years or so. We are very trigger happy in terms of what's the new buzzword in town. So usme, whatever the first thing comes up, we are very quick to adapt. AI is going to change the world. Something else, 5G is going to change the world. We're really not sure how, but a lot of times we think that. So again, even in this case, everybody started talking about the new normal, things changing, the consumer changing. But again, I think there's a guy called Bill Barnback. He formed this company DDB, I think, if I'm not mistaken, advertising company. There was a very nice quote from him that what we as marketers should be focusing on is not on the changing consumer, but on the unchanging consumer. The consumer that has the consumer habits that have evolved over the long period of time. There can be certain things that people adapt in the short term, but the long-term habits, they take a long term to change. So we again, same thing. We don't see that the things have changed that significantly. As soon as I keep a very close eye on the daily numbers and all those kind of things. So as soon as the curtailment of the retail and all those kind of things have subsided, the numbers have started picking up. Even within the channel that we call the OP channel or the away from home channel, where you go restaurants and stuff. Even over there, we have seen a significant kind of an uptick. That 60 to 70% of the outlets that we were servicing, they are back now. Alhamdulillah. People are not sitting down, but they're doing a lot of takeaway and stuff. So again, I foresee that not a lot of change of habit. But maybe the short-term impediments due to the retail closure, and generally just the uncertainty surrounding the affordability and the economic outlook.
Thank you. Really good insight and another amazing answer. Achha, Saad, one more thing, which I've actually personally noticed also in especially MNCs, that because of this global lockdown situation, the supply chain disruption has happened massively. And you're getting raw materials from other countries, wo ruk gaya, exporting, importing, wo ruk gaya, bottle caps, plastic bottles, etc., etc. So I don't know how Coca-Cola is doing. Kya wo itna global supply chain ke andar, are they involved so much? Ya wo ek hi jagah unke manufacturing hai? So has this affected your supply chain also, or you guys were able to cope up with it?
Yeah, Alhamdulillah. I think overall, when the thing started, of course, this is every company goes into what you call the business continuity planning process, right? So how would you ensure that the business would continue? And again, these kind of things, they're there in most companies. Even if you go back to other companies, even in P&G, we used to have these protocols, and most of the big good companies, they will have these protocols in place. So, and again, in this kind of a situation, as you said, one of the key kind of considerations for us was how would we keep this business going? Because see, it's when you think about a business, it's not just Coca-Cola. It's a lot of the people who are linked with Coca-Cola. So the salaries of the people, salaries of the office staff, the salaries of the people at the factories, the distributors, the sales representatives. So all those people, they're depending on the consumption actually happening for them to actually stay afloat. So in that case, I think that was a very, very big consideration. We did a very good quick exercise at the time to understand, and we monitored it very closely, that what is our situation in terms of our core packs, our core raw materials and stuff. But one thing that was good is that a lot of our supply chain, actually most of our supply chain, is localized. So in that regard, we were pretty well placed at that time not to be impacted severely. And we were able to, from a supply chain perspective, I think the team did a tremendous job, and we were able to ride out the whole kind of issue. Frankly speaking, we were apprehensive, but we didn't see any kind of disruption due to that. So
That's amazing.
alhamdulillah.
That's amazing. Actually, that shows that what strong and solid systems your company has made. I think that's a very good point. अच्छा, एक बड़ा interesting सा question है. We all marketing faculty or marketing students also, and those alumni who are working in marketing departments, Coke और Pepsi की rivalry को बड़ा closely follow करते हैं. ठीक है, ये rivalry बड़ी अच्छी है, बड़ी interesting भी होती है, very good marketing insights by both. अच्छा, in this pandemic, what we've seen is that even rival brands, they have sort of amalgamated. जैसे हमने Dettol का हमने campaign देखी, उन्होंने कहा कि आप कुछ भी soap इस्तेमाल करें. I mean, I even saw a campaign of Burger King and McDonald's also. They also showed something, sort of a partnership type thing. तो Coca-Cola की ये नहीं आया ज़हन में कि यार कुछ अब ऐसी situation है, कुछ करते हैं, कुछ start करते हैं.
I think हमने I can talk about the Coca-Cola company. So I think the Coca-Cola company, if you go back and if you step back, okay, what was the thinking at the Coca-Cola company? So the first kind of thing, and we saw this as people who are working within the Coca-Cola, the first priority of the company was the people itself, the safety and the security of the people. So as soon as the number of cases started mounting and stuff, most of the people, they started working from home. So again, other than essential staff, all the people started working from home. So the safety and the security of the people, I think that was at the core of the considerations. Even our global headquarters, what we call AOC, that was also, bulk of the staff over there was working from home. Even our CEO and the leadership team, global leadership team, they were working from home.
Okay.
So I think that was one thing that we were trying to do. The second thing, of course, was the safety of our sales reps, people who are still going out, the people who are still coming to the factories. So ensuring that the safety protocols, the security protocols, hygiene protocols are in place so that they are not inordinately exposed to the virus. So I think that was in place. And then thirdly, of course, we have a commitment to our communities as well, right? So that we need to support our communities. So in this regard, the Global Coca-Cola Foundation, they came up with $125 million plan. So we and that's been announced. So we went off air at the time, I think across the world. And then a lot of that funds went into servicing or taking care of our communities. And recently, within that program campaign, what we have also started doing is that we started supporting our local customers, or what we call the local small retailers. Because what has happened is that when the consumer is not buying the product, there are a lot of small retailers who work on the cash rotation that every day small things go. They don't have the strength of a big retailer who can ride out these kind of storms. So they're really exposed. So we as a company, we picked up a lot of those retailers. We've given them free merchandise, free products, some safety equipment, some instructions in terms of how they can maintain their hygiene, how they can protect themselves, some equipment, actually face shields and stuff, so that they're not exposed to somebody who's coming to the store. So those kind of things have been done, at least by the Coca-Cola company, so that we come out as responsible citizens of the country and of the community. And I'm sure other companies are doing something similar. Where I think where the companies could collaborate, they did. In our case, I think the companies said that thought that maybe we can make a big enough impact ourselves. And I think we have been getting videos and we've been getting pictures. So again, the customers that we've been helping, it's for them, it's a life-changing kind of a thing that once you're trying to get back on your feet after the pandemic, things are opening up, you're trying to get back on your feet, and here a company comes and supports you with merchandising, with not just much, actually with the product, free product that you can sell off, and then you can make money out of that, and that can help push some money into your ecosystem. So I think that has been our focus, and alhamdulillah, we're very happy that we did something to support that.
That's amazing. That's really nice, and that is actually a very aspiring thing also. what you just told, that what Coca-Cola Foundation has been doing. So one more thing, there's this concept of a blue ocean strategy. Blue ocean is whereby you create demand rather than catering to a demand. तो अब ये पेंडेमिक सिचुएशन है, इसमें मोस्ट ऑफ द कंपनीज आर नाउ ट्राइंग टू फाइंड आउट दैट ब्लू ओशन कि यहाँ कुछ ऐसा तो ला ही नहीं करता वेयर आई कैन क्रिएट अ डिमांड. आप लोग ने, गिवन दैट योर एक्सपर्टीज इज स्ट्रैटेजी एंड यूर स्ट्रैटेजाइजिंग द होल पाकिस्तान अफगानिस्तान रीजन, हेडिंग इट एक्चुअली, सो आपको कुछ दिख रहा है? हैव यू थॉट ऑफ इट? हैव यू एक्चुअली, आर यू फोरसीइंग समथिंग कि यार ये एक ऐसा एक एस्पेक्ट निकल रहा है जहाँ पे वी कैन क्रिएट अ ब्लू ओशन? तो आर यू सीइंग, आर यू फोरसीइंग एनीथिंग?
आई थिंक देखिए, ब्लू ओशन से पहले जो होगा, एक तो आई थिंक everybody right now is unsure how the pandemic is going to play out. So again,
Right.
we have seen recently in US that the number of cases and everything was going down. The economy opened up. Now, unfortunately, the number of cases have started rising again. So right now, the issue overall is that people are not sure when we're going to be able to get out of this pandemic. So again, there have been different projections. People have said it's going to be V shape, U shape, W shape, L shape. So all the different kind of shapes have been shared as the progression of this pandemic. So within that, I think the key kind of imperative that still comes out, and again, maybe I'm sure you must have heard also over the last 2-3 days, IMF came out also that with the global economic growth projections, and they revised it downwards versus whatever they had shared earlier. So I think the key thing that everybody is foreseeing, and I think that would be critical going forward, is the affordability, the consumer affordability, and that's not just in Pakistan. It's going to be there for global. Because people in US, they're going to get impacted, in Europe, in Pakistan, in India, all the markets, people are going to get impacted because there is a demand crunch. Economies are not going at the same rate. People are unfortunately, some of the people would not be making the same amount of money that they were making before. So I think that is one crunch that will come across, and I think that might be maybe not an opportunity, but that might be a key imperative going forward. That with the companies which can serve the affordability bit the best, I think those companies might be able to flourish and survive within this.
All right, great. Now, taking advantage from your expertise, given that you're heading the Pakistan region, अब थोड़ा आपने अपने सेक्टर और अपने कंपनी के बारे में तो बहुत बता दिया. Now we'd like to listen something about the Pakistan economy also. Given your expertise, your background, how are you foreseeing कि will Pakistan's economy, how will it react? मैं नहीं कह रहा survive करेगी या नहीं, but how will it react, or how is it reacting? What are your expert opinion on that?
I think Pakistan economy may it overall, like the rest of the countries, I think what we have seen is we have seen a demand contraction happening because of the pandemic. If you just step back before the pandemic, I think some of the structural reforms that were coming in, and again, some of this is my own personal kind of take on the economy. So maybe this is not the Coca-Cola.
We want your personal take, exactly.
I think what I was seeing was that maybe some of the structural things that were happening, those were taking the economy in a positive direction. But that was before the pandemic, and I think post the pandemic, it will depend how quickly we can, how quickly, what is the shape of the economy when we come out of it. And I think that will depend a lot on, the things that we're doing right now. So how quickly can we get how quickly can we get producing? How quickly can we get people back into the factories? How quickly can we get the retail up and running? So I think that would be the key kind of thing. And that's why I think it's a difficult dichotomy, which every country in the world is stuck in. That, on the one hand, you don't want to have the economy in a lockdown state for a long period of time, but at the same time, you also do not want to imperil the lives of the people within the economy. So I think that's where the whole thing is. I think if the country can strike the right balance, I think some of the things that in terms of the cash injection, all these kind of things, I think those can be helpful because those that keeps in the short term, that keeps the economy moving. I think the interest rates that have been cut, I think those would have a positive impacts. Now we're down to 7% or so. So I think these things can have a positive impact, but of course depends a lot on the on the global demand. How does the global demand shape up post the pandemic? But I think the key thing for me would be that if going forward, the structural reforms that were happening, that momentum should continue, so that we get out of this boom and bust kind of a cycle that we've been in the last 20-25 years or so. So we put structurally the economy on the right track.
On the right. That's amazing. Very good insight. And yes, you're 100% correct that our timings will matter. That how quickly we're able to actually adapt to the situation. And yes, you're perfectly correct. That
See, for example, I'll just give you one example. So maybe an economy like Vietnam that has been able to curtail the number of cases significantly. So that economy now has a competitive advantage versus the rest of the economy. So again,
right.
that economy can open people up. That economy can, visitors can go over there. They can serve the textile. They can serve other kind of export-oriented sectors and stuff. Versus an economy which, in which people are not even able to travel, or people are not able to service the demand. I think that's going to be at a disadvantage. So again, that's, as you said, the timing is going to be critical. And that's why, again, striking the balance between how much of a lockdown there is and how much of the economy is opening up, that's the
That will
key thing.
matter.
And that's a conundrum, I think, that's facing the policy decision makers right now.
Amazing. A very good insight. One last thing from you, Saad. I'm sure many students are watching you who would be aspiring to reach where you are right now. Many of our alumni would be watching you, who would again be aspiring to reach the heights where you are. So one last piece of advice for the youth, for the young generation, as far as their career is concerned, as far as their self-development is concerned, from your experience, any piece of advice?
I think it's a very good question, and this is one of my passion points as well. So again, in terms of coaching people, advising them, I think that's one of the areas which I really like to indulge in. I think one thing that I would recommend all of people, all of the alumni, even executives and stuff, is maybe just this kind of continuous learning phase. So again, being in this continuous learning phase, so I think again there are a lot of amazing resources out there. So we should leverage them. So there are amazing books, there are amazing authors out there. There are amazing resources in the form of LinkedIn. So again, I'll just narrate to you a very simple example of how you can, just from a LinkedIn, you can get hooked onto different kind of people, and learn a lot from them. So again, long time back, maybe 2-3 years back, um, somebody posted something which I did not agree with, and in a polite way on LinkedIn, I said, I don't agree with what you're saying over here, from a marketing strategy standpoint. And then one of my friends over there, he pointed out, he said, "Have you read this gentleman?" I said, "No." He said, "You should. It's quite an interesting piece of work." And that book, it's called How Brands Grow. And any kind of marketing professional right now, I would wholeheartedly recommend that they go out there, read this book. It's coming out of research from it's from a research center, University of South Australia, I think. It's called Edinburgh Bass Institute. They do a lot of great marketing research-based work. So it's called How Brands Grow 1 and 2, and then they have a book called Distinctive Assets, I think, also. So I started reading up on that. The key person over there is a gentleman called Professor Byron Sharp. So I started following him. So again, and then once I got in there, I started listening to a few more other people. So there, my kind of summary thing would be to leverage these resources. So things like LinkedIn, leverage it, connect with people, connect with experts. So that would be one. The second one would be, maybe leverage things like, there are things like podcasts out there, HBR IdeaCast and all these kind of things. Listen to those things. It will introduce you. It will open up your thinking. It will help you excel in what you do. It will maybe help you have a different or a contrarian point of view. And
Right.
again, just doing onto that, in your career, and again, this is my advice. Um, a lot of the marketing people, what I feel is that we suffer from this herd mentality. That once somebody starts saying something, we also start saying, this is the best thing, and end of TV, end of this, end of marketing, end of branding. So every 1 year, there's something is ending, and it's that death every year. When actually it's not. So try to have a contrarian, try to have a open mind, try to have a differing point of view, and try to not experience, but try to learn things that why things could be right or why things uh, could be wrong. So, for example, in I'm sure you must have heard that in business, there's a writer by the name of Jim Collins. He is very famous. Wrote this book called Good to Great, which is a great read. He also wrote Built to Last and all those kind of things. And he has done this study with his, I think people from Stanford, and he said that these are the kind of things which great companies have in them. And when you read it, you're like, wow, this is like the recipe for a great company, and great leadership and all those kind of things. But when you look at, there's another gentleman, another professor, who wrote this book called The Halo Effect. When you read that book, you actually understand that a lot of the assumptions that were made in that research, maybe some of those assumptions were maybe a stretch too far. Maybe there was a halo effect that they were suffering from when they picked up a few companies, and for a successful company, whatever you look at, that might be working. So again, the point is, try to have a contrarian point of view, try to have an open mind, try to listen or try to learn from different points of view, um, and keep an open mind, keep learning. That's my kind of biggest thing. Keep learning. There's a wealth of information out there. There are a wealth of experts out there with internet. You can find so much on there, which can help you out so much. So I think that would be my kind of advice. And again, maybe again, of course, with the standard thing, keep persevering, keep striving at it, and inshallah, keep your trust in Allah. So I think
Zabardast,
that's
Zabardast.
the
That
last
was
thing.
amazing, amazing. And I think amazing insight. Waki, in this last question, I could actually see that you're actually speaking from your heart. और मेरा तो दिल था कि भाई इसके ऊपर हम एक और सेशन कर लेते जबरदस्त
I
excellent
would love
motivation.
to. I would love to come in, and I would love to again
हाँ
maybe have a
definitely.
discussion on strategy, on what are the different areas that you can learn from professors, and
जी.
so again, so that's a whole field in its own. But keep striving, keep learning. I think that would be the key thing. And again, if you want to, what I try to do is I try to post different things on LinkedIn from different professors and stuff. So even after the session, people can connect with me on LinkedIn, or they can follow me,
Definitely.
or they can
Definitely.
so I'll try to post things over there, so that that can introduce them. So again, maybe I'm not the thought leader, but there are lots of thought leaders out there, which we can learn a lot from. So that's
So thank you for your time. I think
thank
it
you,
was
sir.
a very brief but an amazing session. What amazing insights you gave about the FMCG sector, about your company, about the pandemic, how the customer is changing, and what will be the right direction for Pakistan's economy. And at the end, the cherry on the cake was your amazing piece of advice. So I think on behalf of all our listeners, I would really like to thank you. And I just hope this pandemic we get over with it,
Inshallah.
and we call you
Inshallah.
to Maju. Okay, and you actually physically
I've been,
interact
I've
with
been,
your.
I've been to Maju once before, so I think I wanted to tell you that. I think that must be 2010 or 2011. I think I was a brand
अच्छा,
manager in PNG, so I did a session at
हाँ,
the Sharai Faisal. I think you guys
जी
had
जी
one
जी
facility in Sharai
जी जी
Faisal. So I did a branding session over there for one of your MBA classes.
अच्छा
So I would
जबरदस्त
love to
जबरदस्त
come. I would love to come.
डेफिनेटली डेफिनेटली
Inshallah. Inshallah.
थैंक यू वेरी
Thank you,
मच
sir. Thank you
थैंक
very
यू
much.
वेरी
Have a
मच
great day. Take
थैंक
care
यू
of yourself. Stay safe. Assalamu alaikum.
अल्लाह हाफिज